We are an unforgiven dance under a freedom sun. A tail-slapping praise, marching in like screaming accordions and hallelujah swamp water baptisms. To be a licorice hurricane trapped in the grin of humanity is a blinding exhaustion. A muted scream asking to be evicted with every exhale. More withdrawn with every rifle to the head deposit in death's memory bank. Where numb-struck whiteness is a victim and terrified of erasure, we are the curse, needing to be reversed, meaning we are no more American than we are God's child. Watch they say you wanted it like this. This thingness all purple and rhythmic, a deafening convulsion existing and disappearing in untelling tomorrows and indelible yesterdays. This blackness is warm and dangerous. An untruth orchestrated by a blasphemous tongue, a sinful symphonic crescendoing countless attempts to oust these bodies since forever. A membership paid in pain and prayer where human life pot liquors itself into a rolling boil at the height of evil's flame. Because Nana ain't spared. Child don't mean innocent. Any one thing can get it. And bullets were never assigned names, just aim and pull, just aim and pull, just aim and pull. Watch how names rain down like a gurgling drum in the palm of a mother's hand, a sickening empty in the pit of heaven. How many more levels of tired are there? How much longer before we reach the water? Tell me there is 50 stars waiting for me when this is all over. That my blood is blood enough. Look at me. Don't you see me breathing? How you think I got like this? Come smell the salt of the Atlantic on my skin. Pull the magnolias from my feet. Here, I even let you touch my hair. You want to taste my greens? Can't you taste the dirt of Louisiana in my mouth? I am a golden rue, birthed from cast iron and constant whisking. A survivor of unending wars that reminded me I've been Juneteenth. I got a family and a dream. Or will the flag never fly half-staff for me?
Black folk, we know what we know. Black folk and superstition go together like chicken and waffles. Mama said, we know what we know. See, the Constitution fractioned us as though we are not our own witnesses, as though we drag the umbilical cord of Black mythology around our necks. We fear boogeymen and commodity trading. The way America imagines itself reprogrammed the memory of history, building true versions of lies. The way you wear your black masquerade is incantation. When was America great? Idealistic slaveholders, dream messaging, and utopia where Black folk never realized they was human all the time. We return you to your regularly scheduled programming, and these truths are self-evident. White privilege is a coma out of context, and Blacks, nothing more than allegory. My community know Lady Justice got turned out long time ago. That hooker no longer blushes, eyes gouged. She probably wishes she could wash her hands, like Pontius Pilate, casting spells to absolve himself. But realize, this ain't destiny, but fate. Dice always roll snake eyes. Daddy said, we know what we know. Like when Massa preached, slaves obey your masters, Black folks was like, yeah, right, motherfucker. They know Massa couldn't have been talking about the same Jesus they grew up with in Egypt with nappy locks of hair, moved to some projects in Galilee. Black folks know more than rivers. We learned to walk on water without the assistance of a Messiah. And Black folk ain't never believed in no white Santa Claus and no Easter bunny. People in my neighborhood doubted forever that Neil Armstrong leaped for all mankind on the dark side of the moon. Prosecution of a police officer, nothing more than sad fairy tales across the vastness of black, engulfed by exploitation, stereotype. We learn to disrobe our faith, transform naked from scars. We know superstition stitched into our house coat cause alterations made by colonizers. Only take them one generation, convince black folk they God ain't really no God. What kind of name for God is Ogun and Oshun, Shango, Yemiya? Black tradition, only incantation. The white God, the only God. Everybody know Jesus favored Jeffrey Hunter with blonde hair, blue eyes. I know you've seen his picture hanging in your grandmama's kitchen. That white heaven is the only heaven. And the notion of Jefferson equality ain't nothing except white noise. Ain't got no traction in Watson Lamert Park. And the prism through which black folks view one nation under God is never indivisible and for all. Black folk in America born on imbalanced scales that spill niggas into profitable prisons, street corner execution. I told y'all people, black folks is superstition. If you let the Constitution explain it, everybody got an equal chance. But you tell me, what country get a 400-year head start on capitalism with all that free black labor? I know what you saying. All black folk do is play the victim, and the chorus is unrehearsed. We know what your Chicago references means, how it explains who you are as though we hire thugs to protect and serve. We know your blame a nigga handbook, save the advertisement. We know how birth of a nation ends. We've known outgunned. We know cracking country got Reagan elected to a second term, yet black folks only cast in B movies. We saw that bootleg video, that defenseless black body, hands in worship, running in reverse, sprawled and splattered like chalk lines of an FBI informant across a television pavement in a Simi Valley courtroom. You sabotage every movement. Blackmail is an ironic word. J. Edgar cross-dressed King and the Panthers. Black bodies lack the kind of gaskets that prevent the loss of scarlet memory. Make up your mind. You want us to be subservient or compliant. We already know whether you Republican or Democrat. You only gonna ride with us so far. Only difference, one is more upfront. Republicans, they appreciate niggas self-loathing in their demographics. Democrats want niggas who like bounce checks over real change. And white America almost never believe when black folks say how they feel. When they say they was murdered and the video wasn't granny. Even as black folks call they mamas instead of pleading the fifth. Ain't nothing unbelievable about reruns or unchangeable plots. My mama said, shit, black folks, we know what we know.
An act to prevent all persons from teaching slaves to read or write, the use of figures accepted. Act passed by the General Assembly of the state of North Carolina. Whereas the teaching of slaves to read and write has a tendency to excite dissatisfaction in their minds and to produce insurrection and rebellion to the manifest injury of the citizens of this state. Therefore, be it enacted by the General Assembly of the state of North Carolina, and it's hereby enacted by the authority of the same, that any free person who shall hereafter teach or attempt to teach any slave within the state to read or write, the use of figures accepted, or shall give or sell to such slave or slaves any books or pamphlets, shall be liable to indictment in any court of record in the state having jurisdiction thereof, and upon conviction shall, at the discretion of the court, if a white man or woman, be fined not less than $100, no more than $200, or imprisoned. And if a free person of color shall be fined, imprisoned, or whipped at the discretion of the court, not exceeding 39 lashes, nor less than 20 lashes. This poem is called 1830. They used to kill us for this, force-fed us death sentences for writing down sentences, pinned down and murdered for the right to write on pen and paper, lined up on a firing wall for these fragments, subject to the pulling of triggers for subject-verb agreement. My grandmothers perished for paragraphs, indented on indentured servitude in this peculiar institution. They used to kill us for this. My grandfathers pronounced dead for hiding pronouns under their pillows. Vocabulary pouring out with the blood, forbidding ink oozing out of their pores, mutilated for our metaphors, decapitated for their capital letters, killed for the curiosity of a comma splice. My kinfolk slaughtered for synonyms, transitioning for transitive verbs written on the walls of a slave cabin, lynched for their lexicon, knocked off for these noun conjugations, run down for these run-on sentences. My mothers massacred for writing their monikers, just for writing their names. Beautiful brown leaves hanging from the branches of my family tree, terminated for their terminology. We used to die for this, and America's southern graves are filled with students who look like us, walk like us, wanted to learn like us, and when they speak to me at night from their shallow graves in Arkansas, as I contemplate the thought of being furious, they say, do not be angry for me, read for me, write for me, spell for me, study for me, learn for me, speak for me, read for me, write for me, read for me, write for me, and live.
I heard them South Carolina flesh terrorists exhume their prosperity from Nat Turner wallets. Mein Kampf for the secessionist memoirs, virgin cotton swabbed in exploitation. I am blue from red and white welts. The American swastika waves above Columbia, South Carolina, shitty Confederate diapers. General Lee still fights for control of Gettysburg, while area nations due south of Mason-Dixon line memorialize Ku Klux and Klan, whose membership was revoked for not paying union dues. These unkempt sheets silk their arrogance with latent debutantes, unchaperoned in their Gestapo waltz. They lobby for new civil war and neophyte niggas. But reluctant African passengers vacationing on American colonial cruise line to exotic destinations like Jamestown or Monticello, they coagulate for a shackled coup d'etat. No recovery effort was ever organized for the misplaced American Negro. America's amnesia is a terminal hematoma. What is America's indignation with those incredulous American niggers? Never embrace enslavement as a cause for celebration, unthankful for their improved economic status. Apologists erect a pageantry of indifference, then parade their litany of anti-heroes. Mississippi hosts secession banquets, while the governor of Virginia confirmed the proclamation of original sin. These revisionists want a slavery that honors the phantoms of their past. What the hell is black folks so mad about? This is America reparations to memory of my great-great-grandfather. And for exploited servitude, boycott. And I will no longer worship at Old Glory's despicable altar or succumb to a history of mystification, because I am no longer Jack's son or Jefferson's. My birth is from the womb of Yoruba, where humanity builds shrines.
Black man ain't no animal. Just because you hunt, shoot, and kill him for sport don't mean you get to trophy his head on precinct walls. Interesting how he never becomes endangered. Funny how he survives after years and years of buying, selling, trading, and killing him off. Black man ain't no animal. And although he is rare bird, don't mean you get to strategically pluck and clip his wings with the full clip while we watch a clip of it on social media. He be ebony phoenix, rising despite gun smoke, soaring high above expectations with every degree, every Black-owned business, every sacred marriage, and every son and daughter that knows him, in every community that depends on him for their very existence. I'm telling you, he ain't no animal. Because if he was, he would have ripped your ass open long time ago, sank his teeth in, dragged your lifeless body back into the cave, devoured your ignorance, discarded your bones for all to see. See, he don't want none of your kind running through his veins. Never wants to become like the animals that treat him like prey. But since he is hunted, he knows when to run, how to hide, doing his best to dodge bullets, traps, and trick ropes, just so he don't end up hanging from one. Black man ain't no animal. Running don't make him no punk. He is breaking free from the cage they tried to put him in. He could never be tamed or trained. No matter how much you whip him, the shape he is in will never be for your benefit. The day he turns animal, it's the day the jungle falls.